to all officials present. It is Wednesday, the 6th of March 2024, and this is the Parliamentary Oversight Committee. Please do feel welcome at this committee. I will now allow for members and officials to kindly introduce themselves. My name is Wendy Kaiser-Philanda, and I'm the chairperson of this committee.
Good afternoon. My name is Matlodi Masuko, and I'm the member of this committee.
Good afternoon, Chairperson and colleagues. I'm Gillian Bosman, and I'm a member of this committee.
Thank you very much, Member Bosman. And just for the record, this committee meeting has been programmed as an in-person meeting. We, however, have an indication of 2 honourable members online, unfortunately due to unforeseen circumstances. We will just have a look out for Member Lecker that also indicated that she will be online. And then on my right-hand side.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, colleagues. Dalen Mitchell.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, Honourable Members, Speaker and colleagues. Romeo Adams, Secretary to the Western Cape Provincial Parliament.
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Nicole Peterson, Chief Financial Officer.
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Dawo Jowdin, Manager Finance.
Afternoon, Chair and members. Margot Goldstone, Director Strategy.
Good afternoon, Irma Delanga, Officer Strategy and Institutional Oversight.
Good afternoon, Chair, members. Vernon Titus, Institutional Enablement.
Good afternoon, Lorika Elliott, Speaker's Office.
Afternoon, members and colleagues. Yanni A, Speaker's Office.
Good afternoon, Andre Leroux, Senior Legal Advisor.
Good afternoon, Chair, members. Charles Doman.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, members, officials. Mario Sassman, Manager Committee Support. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Themba Ketswa, Manager PEO. Thank you.
Sunil Fisher, Public Engagement.
Good afternoon, James Retief, Manager Stakeholder Management and Communication Services.
Good afternoon, Zenzini Yalo, Manager Financial Compliance and Internal Control.
Good afternoon, Carolyn Prakasa, Manager People Management.
Good afternoon, Jacob Skricker, Manager ICT.
Good afternoon, Chair. Speaker, Honourable Members, Usman Alexander, Supply Chain.
Thank you so much. That is all members and officials then formally introduced into the record. I am asking for apologies at this point, Speaker.
Chair, before I tender the apology of the Deputy Speaker, I know Mr. Stamela is also online.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Officials online.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Stemele.
Can you hear me, Chair?
I can hear you. Thank you very much, sir. Your attendance is duly noted. Thank you, Mr. Stemele.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Chairperson. Maybe just for the record, Mr. Stamela is actually on leave, and that's why he's not here in person, but it was on condition that he still joins the meeting virtually, so that if there are questions that needs to be responded to, he's still responsible and accountable. Thank you.
Tracking the whip. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary, and thank you very much for joining this afternoon as well, Mr. Stamele. We will not ask you to activate your camera, though. Speaker.
Just for the record, an apology from the Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Speaker. The apology for Deputy Speaker are then also duly noted. Formal apology. A formal apology has also been received from Member Kasim, as been informed just now. Let the records state that as well. I do not see Member Lecker online yet. We'll just have a look out for her once she joins the meeting as well. Honourable members, today's business will be the briefing by the Western Cape Provincial Parliament on the second and the third quarterly performance reports and financial statements for the 2023-2024 financial year, the months of July to September 2023 and October to December 2023. Honourable Speaker, at this point, do you have any remarks before we kick off?
No, no, Chair. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I think let's get straight into the presentation, and if there's any questions, we'll answer them.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Mr. Secretary.
Well, thank you, Chairperson. Maybe just to indicate that the second and the third quarterly performance reports will be presented by the Director of Strategy and Institutional Oversight, Ms. Goldstone, and then the financial reports for the same periods will be presented by the CFO and Mr. Dawood Jawadin. Thank you. We can go straight into Ms. Goldstone presenting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Ms. Goldstone, you may proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, and afternoon again, Chair and members. So this is the report on the non-financial performance for quarter 2 and 3 of the 2023-24 financial year. In respect of quarter 2, the presentation will cover a brief summary of the performance outcome, followed by the detail. In summary, the WCPP had a total of 27 performance indicators and targets for the year, and 15 due by quarter 2. 12 of the 15 were met and 3 were not met, resulting in an overall achievement level of 80% for quarter 2. Chair, in terms of the program performance, the 3 targets that were not met were as follows. 1 in Program 2 under Parliamentary Support Services, 2 in Program 3 under Public Engagement. In Program 2, we could not meet the quarter 2 target in respect of the indicator, the percentage of executive undertakings tracked. And just to clarify, executive undertakings, as we've indicated before, essentially those commitments that are made by a member of the executive in which they undertake to revert to the House on a particular matter. In order to introduce the procedure in the legislature, consultations were underway with regard to the methodology for processing executive undertakings, but this could not be concluded by the end of the quarter. In Program 3, under Public Engagement, we'd planned to be able to report on the level of free public access to the WCPP website, which would have been done through reverse billing, and the reverse billing is what would enable the public to access the website at no charge to the user. To execute this, we would require an external service provider to be appointed, but the procurement for this could not be concluded by the end of quarter 2. We'd also planned to have implemented 100% of the quarter 2 milestones, project milestones for the WCPP Engage 1.0 or the online digital platform project. This project was also delayed due to procurement and was subsequently suspended, and the funds reprioritized to other areas in the 23-24 financial year. Chair, in terms of the detailed performance for quarter 2 under Program 1, all legislative obligations in terms of FAMPLA were complied with both by the Office of the Speaker and of the Secretary. Under the sub-program Institutional Enablement, there were 3 strategies of which milestones were expected to be concluded in the second quarter.
Sorted that side. Thank you. My apologies, Ms. Goldstone. Please proceed.
It was the IT strategy, the HR strategy, and knowledge management strategy, which are being progressively rolled out on an annual basis over the 5-year term. By quarter 2 of 2023-24, significant progress had been made in rolling out some of those milestones as planned. Under the IT strategy, for example, technical support was provided at the procurement stage for the reverse billing project. There was also work undertaken on the preparation of specifications for the tools of trade for new and returning members in the 7th Parliament. Under the HR strategy, Various activities would have included professional development for staff, activities such as short courses and diploma and degree courses which were facilitated for staff. There was also a revision of the members' facilities guide in Q2. Under the knowledge management strategy, further work was done on the development of the e-registry and also enhancements to the intranet, which should be available from the 1st of April 2024. With regard to Program 2, under plenary support, the achievements include a review of oversight and accountability practices, which was done and concluded by the end of Q2. Also, all House resolutions were tracked and all House papers were electronically available by the end of Q2 as was planned. Under committee support, again, 100% of the draft committee reports were produced in accordance with the committee SOP standards, as well as 100% of committee decisions, which were indeed tracked in Q2. This last one on executive undertakings I've already spoken to. Under Program 3, Chairperson, Public Education and Outreach, sub-program, the activities planned for the quarter were met, namely one public engagement or outreach initiative, which took place in Caledon in Q2. And there was also a facilitation of an SMME roundtable, which was also planned in terms of the public engagement strategy for Q2. That I've spoken to. And that concludes our report for Q2. Chairperson, may I proceed on to Q3?
You may. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Then in terms of Q3, in summary, we had 7 of 8 targets that were achieved in Q2, resulting in an overall achievement level of 87.5%. So only one target that was not met. That one target is in Program 3. Again, there was some delay with the procurement for the level of facilitating the level of free public access. By Q3, we had made some progress with the procurement, and the legal vetting of the contract was already underway. Where we are now is that the procurement has now been concluded, and that the testing will commence with the service provider in the next week or so. Then in terms of the detailed performance, Program 1, again, as in Q2, all legislative requirements were met by the Office of the Speaker and Office of the Secretary. Program 2, also as in Q2, all the requirements under plenary support in terms of the tracking of House resolutions, as well as the availability of House papers, those requirements were met. Under program committee support, again, all our draft committee reports were compliant with the committee standard operating procedure standards, and all committee decisions were indeed tracked. Under Program 3, further achievements are activities which were set in terms of the public engagement strategy, which include preparation of a proposal for a future petitions program, which may include a petitions roadshow, as well as it's basically focusing on education and awareness for the public on what the petitions process would look like. And there was also a proposal for the active citizenry journey, which was part of the public engagement strategy. Chair, and I've spoken to this progress already under the underachievements, and that essentially concludes the report for Q2 and Q3 of 23-24. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ms. Goldstein. Mr. Secretary.
Chairperson, thank you. If with your indulgence and the committee's indulgence, Chairperson, if I can just ask Ms. Fouchier just to give a 1-paragraph indication of the thinking with regards to the free access to the website and the testing that's currently underway. We are optimistic that when we report on the fourth quarter performance, that we would have met partially that target. But if Ms. Fouchier, with your indulgence, could just give an indication of the thinking and the progress further.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. That will be helpful. Ms. Fouchier.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Secretary. The Western Cape Provincial Parliament wants to encourage as many people as possible to have free access to the information that we have. So what we are looking to do is to, in all our posts on Instagram, Facebook, X, and all the others, we will have links that will take people through back to our website as we normally do. But what will happen is the moment that someone lands on our website, they will stop using their own data. So if you click on a link and you come to WCPP, you will not be charged for it at all. A service provider has been identified and appointed. ITDS and the service provider is currently busy setting it up and configuring it for our website. We have procured the data-free SIM cards and we will commence testing, I think, in next week to make sure that that is activated. And from that moment on, we will run a campaign on our website and on our other platforms to inform people that they can now access our website without using any data, and the functionality will carry on from there. We are happy that in this financial year, we have enough money, enough funds set aside, but it will also give us an opportunity to see more or less how much, because we get billed for the data. It's not zero-rated website, because that is determined by a body that says we don't qualify. But the WCPP gets billed for the data that that person would have used. So we will have a good indication of what the cost is so that we can budget accordingly for the rest of the year. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fisher. Mr. Secretary.
Chairperson, I apologize for prolonging the conversation. If Ms. Fushia, because our website, through our website, you could have access to lodging a petition. If Ms. Fushia can just use that as an example of how the service will then for the members of the community.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Ms. Fisher.
All the functionalities on the website will be free. So the making of submissions online, the making of petitions online, all of those services would be free. The live streaming would be free. The only thing that we have challenges with is where it crosses over to another platform. So the moment that they click on a YouTube video, it goes to YouTube, and we can't zero rate that. So we will say that it is the information that's available on our website. Thank you. I don't know, Secretary, if there's more.
Thank you very much, Ms. Fisher. Speaker.
Thank you, Chair. I think I'm now probably the wrong platform to raise this, but so when a sitting or committee is being live streamed, automatically on the landing page of WCPP, the link is directly to YouTube. So I just want to, Kobe, if you and the developers could just try and synchronize that, because it will automatically go to YouTube, because that is the landing page, or where it's being viewed, and most of our work is on YouTube. So we just need to find a kind of mechanism to avoid that.
Thank you, Speaker. Mr. Secretary.
So Chairperson and committee members, there's the issue of costs. Okay, as a start, there was a business decision that we'll deal with the access to the Western Cape Provincial Parliament website and the internal functionalities, for example, the lodging of petitions, etc., etc. If we have an advert on our website with regards to a public hearing, when the member of the public access the website, they would not pay for seeing there's an advert on a public hearing, etc., etc. Let's call it the third-party services, Kobe. So it's services other than between us and the service provider, is still a pay-for-use service. Okay, we have done a bit of research with other legislatures, and if Kobe is in a position to share some of the costs with the funding that's currently available for us, it might not at this stage be something that would be affordable to us. But that's why I'm saying, as a first approach, we've dealt with the issue of our website being free to access and the internal functionalities of that website being free, Chairperson. In later years going forward, if our resources permit, that could be a further consideration for the WCPP. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Honourable members, in order, is there a question from your side, Member Maseko?
Thank you very much, Chair. And again, thank you for the presentation. I just want to find out, and
My sincere apologies, Member Maseko. Can I just pause you there for a moment? I've seen Member Lecker have joined. I just need her to introduce herself for the record, please. Member Lecker.
Afternoon, everybody. My name is Pat Lecker.
Thank you very much and welcome to you, Member Lecker. My apologies, Member Maseko.
it's okay, Chair. Thank you very much again for the presentation. I just want to find out, and I'm going to pause on the website because the progress that has been made from the province with any other programs, it's appreciated. Now on the website with the being innovative with what you want to do. I think when we engaged, it has been, and I'm looking at the not achieved, and I know that because you've been trying to be creative in making sure that the website, you implement it as you visualize it as it is now, which is a new thing of the not charging the user, which is it's brilliant as an idea, but the practicality of it will be the sustainability. If it gets to be branded enough for people to use it, are you going to be able to sustain it? Because I just want to find out your budget is attached to if you have how many users, if you have to put the quantify it in a money value, your budget it can allow how many users, if they use per individual, how many minutes within the website. And the second one, it will be the content and the monitoring and the content on the website. We've been talking about the content of the website that sometimes we are shortchanging the legislature with what the legislature is doing. We are doing a lot, but when you go to the website, you don't see everything that we are doing. And it's just said that sometimes the brilliant things that we are doing as administration, they are not on the website. Now, who's going to be responsible for the content? And I know after we talked about the content the last time, it was the committee work and the information, it was the POs that were loading on the website. But now the question is that even if we load the content, somebody has to take responsibility if there's a question or any other thing from the website. What are we doing now? Do we have a specific person that is going to monitor the website and make sure that they can react when there is a challenge on the website, or who's going to take responsibility? The other one, it will be, we had a problem of being hacked. Now you've got the third party that is going to be involved. Now, what are the risks? Did we look at the risk as the legislature when coming to the third party being involved? Are we at a stage where you can say to us that, no, we are sure that will never, it won't expose us like we were exposed before, that we can be assured that there is a security attached to whatever service provider that it will be being that a service provider to the legislature. I think, Chair, I'm going to park that for now and I'll continue.
Thank you very much, Member Maseko. In the absence of any further hands online, Speaker, did you want to respond to any of the questions and comments made, or?
I think I'll leave the technical answers to the administration. But I think what I do want to appreciate is the fact that when we look at innovation, and I think Honourable Maseko has touched on that, And I think the intention is we keep saying that we want to be the best regional parliament. We want to expand. We want to compete internationally from a service perspective. The reality is that many of our users or audiences are on electronic devices. So as a first bite, and I think the secretary mentioned that is how we need to enter the market in inverted commas in order to try and entice users of Parliament, or to get in touch with what are we actually doing. I mean, the public education and outreach team are doing amazing work on the ground, but how do you capture that student that needs to access immediately, or the rural citizen that is not able to come 400-500 kilometers to experience Parliament and what we are doing. So I think that from an intention perspective is where we are going. I think on the budgetary question is a valid, and the sustainability, because the last thing I would want is for us to start the process and then a year or two later discover, but we actually cannot sustain it. And I think Ms. Fushia touched on that with that introduction. We are going through the testing phase now. We'll see the amount of I don't know what's the correct IT term, but the usage of the website, and then we would be able to budget or forecast going forward. I do want to state that I'm very excited about where we're going with this. I know that POC has in the last year on numerous occasions touched on the accessibility, the user friendliness of the website. So this is our attempt to start innovating in that space. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you, Speaker, for assisting with the response. So I think there were three questions. It's the model for back billing and the cost. The Speaker had answered that question to a certain extent. Then it was the website content management, the question, and then the cyber risk related to third-party reverse billing. Mr. Skriker will respond, and Mr. Titus to the last one. And I'm just going to ask Ms. Fushia to respond to the first two questions. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yeah, I think the Speaker dealt with the issue of sustainability and that we are in the pilot phase. So we will learn and adapt going from there. With regards to the website content, we have different content owners in different units and sections of WCPP. So where you have a committee coordinator uploading information regarding that specific committee, because the burden on one person would just be too big. We are starting to look at auditing the information on the website to make sure that it's as current as possible, because we have had challenges with that. The webmaster that resides in stakeholder management and communication services, as part of his job profile, looks at general quality control in terms of the content on the website. I'm going to ask Mr. Retief to expand if he wants to add to that.
Yeah, I don't think there's too much to add, just to say that the webmaster function is one aspect of one specific employee's job role. So there are a number of other things that person is responsible for. There's also, I think, Member Maseko, you were talking about reacting to things. So there's also the interaction between our website and our social media channels and the activities that are on that, so that everything that is posted on our social media activities relates to something on the website. And as Ms. Fushia said, the webmaster does apply some degree of quality control over that. We are in the process of recruiting a multimedia officer, which will hopefully relieve some of the pressure and allow us to start doing a bit more in that field. And we're busy recruiting at the moment. So we hope to fill that position in the next 2 to 3 months.
Thank you very much for that insight as well. Mr. Titus, I note your hand. I'm just going to give an opportunity to the speaker and come back to you. Speaker?
Yes, thank you very much. And I'm glad Mr. Retief touched on the multimedia officer. I don't want it to, and I think it's important for the record, that we're not outsourcing or outsourcing the responsibility, because the content and what is displayed on the website, and I think that's what Member Maseko was referring to. We still take ownership and accountability for whatever is being displayed on the website from a content perspective. So I don't want us to have the perception that it's an external person that takes that responsibility and accountability. It's still, and that resides in the unit of Ms. Fushia and Mr. Retief, like the multimedia officer would also be placed.
Thank you so much for that reassurance as well, Speaker. Mr. Titus?
Thank you very much, Chair. The question from the member around the security measures, I want to respond as follows. Firstly, the backbilling, the entire concept of backbilling and the impact of that is really aimed at seeing to what extent we can create possibilities for increased accessibility to our website. Our website is already out there. And the only way in which the website is accessed is through data, through a third party, whether it is my personal data, Wi-Fi, whatever it is that we are currently utilizing. So the third party involvement from a data service perspective has always been there. I think what we have been saying as an administration is, to what extent do we limit data as a barrier to access to the democratic processes of Parliament? And I think that is why we have, and I think the committee recognizes that is why we've taken that particular decision. Just a comment on the issues around the cybersecurity and the processes that we had undertaken last year. Members would remember that that had been a very difficult period, but it's also been a steep learning curve for us. Also, just to say that our compromise was not as a result of our website. That was a completely different kind of setup. So I wanted to provide that kind of assurance as well. We've not had that kind of compromise from our outward-facing website. Mrs. Krikke will be speaking about just some of the mechanisms of how we are securing our website and how we are preventing, because we're talking about increased traffic now, how we are preventing different cyber attacks from an outward-facing system process. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Titus. Mrs. Krikke?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to briefly explain how this is possible, that we can have reverse billing. We can only achieve it. What we're literally doing, we're saying, anyone, if you want to connect to WCPP, no, you can't go there directly. You have to go via MTN. So that is called the MTN gateway. In that way, the billing gets centralized. So you will first, the major change is you'll first hit MTN, and MTN will just pass the traffic on to say, we recognize this is a SIM, it has no data, but we can allow it because you want to go to WCPP. This is a laptop, you don't require data, we're just going to let the traffic through. Having said that, we have now pushed our web traffic into an MTN gateway. So there's one risk there. The risk is not attacking our website. The risk is if MTN has downtime, we could potentially have downtime. And I spoke to them about it, and we're busy working through that. I've been giving assurances that they've never had downtime, but we know that everyone at some stage does have, and that they can only guarantee 99.9% uptime. So there's a few minutes in the year where the website could go down. The other layer we have, so we now have a hop to MTN that we have no control over and we wouldn't have visibility into. We'll only see the billing on a day-to-day basis. And the only risk that we have besides the availability risk, not a hacking risk, is that if someone wants to be malicious, they can run up a ball for WCPP by just going to the website multiple times, 1,000 times a day. Now that's a risk, that's a real risk, that's a monetary risk, financial risk to us. But we do have a window pane into the usage, and we're going to put caps on per day. Once we've, like the speaker said, we can establish a baseline as to what the usage is. We will then know the usage per day is approximately on a busy day or busy week, busy month is a gig. So we will then start capping our data usage at just above those levels so that we can contain the costs. That's the only risks, but no hacking risk because the content is still sitting with us and is protected by a web app, what we call a web application firewall. It's a specialized firewall just for web servers. And that's the protection layer we have. And that's why when we were hacked initially, they couldn't hack our web server. Our web server remained up, different set of technologies, and you design it like that. Outside of infrastructure, different sets of technologies. And so there's no real concerns about hacking other than the redirecting to MTN, which could become an availability issue. But we'll be monitoring that, and we'll be seeing how well the service is architected. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Skriker. And then speaker usage is a term. Well done. Member Maseko, before I go to Member Lekker, I note your hand, Member Lekker. Do you have any follow-up questions on your question? Initial question?
Yeah, just I do understand, Mr. Titus, that it's not the website that it's just I'm asking questions for the due diligence to make sure that we don't go through again what we went through the past year. But again, and the speaker explained it nicely because I was thinking that when you say you're going to hire someone, it's going to be also about the content. So personally, I think when we talk about the website, we talk about a tool that is branding the institution. One, it's sort of a PR on your laptop, PR tool for on your laptop. Now, if we don't have, and Sunil explained that no, it cannot be done by one person. So each and every department have to load their content. But if you have a website that is going to work and not have difficulty, that have to give the information, because that's where you sort of have to give also the synopsis of what is happening before the whole minutes of the meeting can be loaded in. You need the person that can entice with the website for people to be interested to go and look at what is it that is in there. So do we have a person that is specific that will deal with that on this website? Because innovatively, what you are doing is brilliant, but it will need that flair that if I have to click on our website or any other person, I will understand it because I'm here. But a person from outside that you want to draw in to be the user to always look at the website to say, what is it that is in the website? You'll want to draw that person by having something that is there for that person to use. So that is why I'm asking that for the content, do we have, or a graphic design, a person that can do that? Do we have a person that will be responsible to do that, to make sure that this is an enticing tool or is a branding tool for the legislature, that each and every person, when they go in there, they won't be bored looking as if it's one and the same thing that they've seen on the YouTube, and because it's been boring. Our website has been boring for a very long time.
Thank you very much, Member Maseko. I'm giving over to the speaker and then the secretary. Member Maseko?
Just to add, it's like for the issue, I'll make an example, Chair, the issue of the public hearings when we have the bills. the website has to be something that, as the what is it? The public outreach, they go out there. It's where they can also load in there to say that where have they been or where are they going to go to lead for the bills, if that is happening. I'm talking about if that is happening. I'm just fishing that maybe it's happening, that they go to say, hey, there is this bill that is coming, and then go and do the public hearing and then put their notes, whatever that they inform people or they educate people to say, what is the bill all about? Why is it important that they can contribute? Things like that that have to be on the website, that we don't have to send the WhatsApps. We don't have to, when they go to a website, then I don't have to say, send me the links, and I can just say, go to the website. And I'm confident that when they go to a website, that will be an easy tool for them to can access and do whatever that needs to be done. That's what I mean, that do we have a person that can do that for this legislation? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Maseko. Speaker.
I want to just respond, and again, the Ms. Forshire can speak to the and the secretary can speak to the technicalities. The reality is that WCPP is in need of a brand new website. I think we've previously communicated that to the committee, but with, or let me not say a brand new website, a brand new landing page and design of that landing page. And unfortunately, there's a financial implication to this. I think both Ms. Forshire and Mr. Retief would jump if we had the money to completely redesign the website, which I think we're all in agreement that at some point we need to look at that. So what we are currently doing is with the current landing page is to try and work within that space and within that CI brand that the website and WCPP is currently branded at, to try and upload, because it's from the back end. It took a long time for me to get to understanding it, because it's not just a matter of completely redoing the landing page. So hopefully in the next CFO hint in the next engagement with Treasury, we will need to ask for money, because as it is, we do not have the funds available to completely redesign the actual landing page. That's the one part of it. The second part of it, the content loaded onto the website in the current page, is something that I completely agree with Member Maseko on, because we control what goes onto the website. The layout we might need to change, but the content is something that we have complete control over.
Over. Thank you, Speaker. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think the Speaker had largely answered the question, but maybe if I can just add before Ms. Forshire and Mr. Retief. Honourable Maseko, I think your question relates to attracting and directing traffic to interesting areas of the work of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, or let's just say attracting and directing them in an interesting manner to the work of the Western Cape. So if you, for example, and some people might have problems with flash banners, but if you have flash banners and it's interesting, people would want to know what's happening there. And then click on there, and then the traffic then should be flowing from there. So yes, it relates to content, but only partially, because it's not about the minutes of a public hearing or a committee meeting. It's how that is made attractive for the user to be interested in what happened in that specific meeting. And I think that's the question that you had asked. So I'm going to hand over to Ms. Forshire and Mr. Retief.
May Ms. Forshire.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. we try as far as possible to make the work of WCPP as sexy as we can. It's not always possible. And there are volumes and volumes of information that people are not necessarily interested in. What I can assure you is that the multimedia officer that we are recruiting, the skills include photography, videography, and graphic design. Because currently we have to outsource those and we don't have control necessarily about turnaround time. So those are the skills that we are insourcing to address exactly the issue that you're raising, ma'am.
Mr. Retief, are you covered? Thank you very much. Member Maseko, I believe you're all good. Thank you so much. Member Lekker, you may proceed with your question. Member Lekker?
Chair, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you, Chair.
Member.
Just a quick one, Chair, with regards to the targets that were not meant in quarter 2. Can I get an understanding exactly what informs those difficult hurdles that WCPP could not get ahead of? And that was quarter 2. Also noting that we've also had some setbacks with regards to the reprioritization. With regards to quarter 3, can I get a feeling in terms of the reprioritization of the project that was suspended? How is that going to have an impact in terms of this milestone that we are talking about? Maybe I must pause there for now. I'll have a follow-up of this.
Thank you very much, Member Lekker. Member Maseko, I'm going to give you an opportunity to raise your question as well, and then can be answered.
Thank you. Just a quick one. I want to find out with the program of performance, is it accumulative or you did separate that it's quarter 2, 100% or 80% achieved, then separate quarter 3? And if we were to have that accumulative on a quarter 3 from quarter 1, are all programs going to be green, or the ones that are red will see them continuing to be red? That's all.
Thank you, Member Maseko. Speaker, anything you would like to add? Can I go over to the Secretary? Thank you.
Thank you again for the question. I'm going to ask Ms. Goldstone to respond to both of the questions, but also the line function to assist Ms. Goldstone with those responses. Thank you, ma'am.
Chair, with regard to the question on reprioritization, what I did not indicate in indicating that there was budget reprioritization was that the APP for 23-24 was then amended to remove that indicator from the current plan. So there is no further achievement projected for the rest of the year in terms of the APP. Whether or not the project will continue in the 7th Parliament is obviously something for consideration through the next strategic planning exercise. But for now, currently the APP target has been removed. Then on the question of the target setting, some of the targets are cumulative. And fortunately, the way we've tried to stagger it is where there is a target set in a particular quarter, we make provision for that target to be caught up in the next quarter in the event that there is no achievement. So at this stage, based on our projections, there are no targets that are, let's say, going to lead us to not achieve, because all of those areas where we had not previously achieved, we are able to make up by the end of the year. If that answers the question.
Thank you very much, Ms. Goldstein. Member Maseko, I'm just first gonna ask Member Lekker if she's got any follow-ups. I see your hand is lowered, Member Lekker, you're covered. Member Lekker.
Chair. Thank you, Chair. I'm a bit confused, or for a lack of a better word, I seem not to understand. The response that in terms of reprioritization, that will be a determination factor, or there's, if I hear correctly, the response is as follows. It's something that is based on, or that will depend whether it's feasible enough to do it in the 7th administration. Is that what I'm getting before I make a comment? Am I summarizing the response properly, Chair?
Thank you, Member Lekker.
Yeah, Chairperson, just to give a bit of context. So the project that was being referred to is a project that would have allowed the WCPP to do what we are currently doing a bit differently. The suspension of the project and the reprioritization of the resources does not detract from what we will be doing. It would just have enhanced the way we were doing it. So if we are responsible for public participation, lawmaking and oversight. If it was a tool to get us to do public participation a bit differently, we'll still continue to do public participation, and public participation would continue. With regards to the question when it would be continued or re-energized or reintroduced, okay? As we are nearing the end of the 6th parliamentary term, the next strategic plan and the next APP will run into the 7th parliamentary term. It would then be decisions in terms of the strategic direction and the annual performance plan that will then dictate whether we now want to, and budget would then dictate whether we now want to revive the project or we would want to look at some other avenues. An example would have been the reverse billing. We've now finally gotten to move from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. But when we had conceptualized the thought of reverse billing, the thinking could have been way different to how we now implement it. And they say 2020 is, or hindsight is an exact science. For us as the Western Cape Provincial Parliament, we continue to think of new and different and better ways on how our initial ideas and projects could be implemented in the way going forward. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Member Lekker, you covered?
Just one quick one, Chair.
Is that a follow-up, member?
Yes, it is.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the response, Mr. Secretary. Chair, I think what is more crucial here is the fact that we're dealing with issues of public participation. There's also the process of reprioritization. Now, for me, Chair, I think it would have been important if there's a view to reprioritize, that we get to understand exactly what were the deliverables with regards to this project itself. Is it something that is worth spending money on? And if not, what were those issues that we think we could have improved, or there is no need to keep such? Are there any lessons learned? What informs the reprioritization if it is something that is worth spending on. Because I really don't understand. There's a feeling that it can be kept or it cannot be kept. What is it exactly that informs a particular direction towards this project? I think that to me becomes more important, because before I say I'm happy with it, I must understand exactly what it is. Then, Chair, you would forgive me that 12 of the 15 targets were achieved, and 3 of the 15 targets for Q2 were not achieved. Were these targets a waste of time? Did we put these targets because we wanted to look good as an institution? And what exactly happened? Why were these targets not met? You see, where I also have an issue, Chair, is when at the beginning of the term, we've got these nice targets that we set for ourselves, and they are not achieved. When they are not achieved, we push all these targets to the third quarter. What happens? Are we ticking the box in the third quarter to say we have achieved all 100 targets? We're ticking the boxes and we are not taking enough time and effort to ensure that those targets are achieved instead of ticking the boxes. So it becomes a problem for me, because in a space of a few days or a few weeks, more than 10 targets are achieved. Is that something that is worth a value for money, or we're just ticking the boxes? Then the last one, Chair, is around the issues of accountability. You see, for me, I see that it is 100% achieved. But I want to understand exactly, as and when we're reviewing this oversight and accounting model, are we taking into account issues of services or service delivery, or it is just a matter of ensuring that the model is there as a paper that is worth reading and not worth implementation up until the last stage? Then lastly, in terms of the executive undertakings that were tracked, it is not achieved. That further consultation on the mechanism or tools for tracking is underway. And that was, of course, for Q2. Can we get exactly the details of why was it not achieved at all? Because for me, it's a crucial thing. And if it is not achieved, also once again, says to me the same thing that I've already highlighted, that we're quick, we want to ensure we wrap up everything without considering the value of it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Lecker. You may lower your hand. Speaker.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think Ms. Goldstone or the Secretary will touch on the reasons for Q2 that was not achieved. But I want to, on the accountability, because it will be remiss of me not to speak to that. Chair, FAMPLA requires from the executive authority and the accounting officer of the institution to do certain things by a certain timeline. Legally, we are responsible or accountable to perform certain functions by a certain timeline. So Chair, the in-year monitoring gets tabled gets tabled for the House as part of our accountability, and that gets ATC'd. The same with the budget and the budgetary spends. So FAMPLA requires certain things for us to do, and I think that's what it speaks to. It's I think we shouldn't confuse the legislative and legal requirements that the executive authority and accounting officer has in terms of FAMPLA versus the delivery, the service delivery in the various programs. With regards to the Secretary, I don't know if you want to speak to the targets first, and then we can speak about executive undertakings, because I also want to make a comment on that.
Thank you, Speaker. Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Chairperson, and again, thank you for the question. So the targets that were not achieved in the second quarter is not considered to be a waste of time, for the following reason. I think we've learned through the first, the second, and even the third quarter on matters and how to better implement some of those indicators and some of those targets. We must also understand that while achievement might have happened in a specific quarter, there could have been a run-up to that achievement over preceding quarters. So if, for example, if we have to deliver on a system in the IT environment, there's the matter, excuse me, there's the matter of confirming what the specifications would be for that system. There's a tender process, at least 28 days advertisement, then there's adjudication, then there's evaluation, etc., etc. And when we get to a quarter where we say we've achieved, that system is in place, the back billing, for example, it's not something that would have happened only in that quarter or the work. It would have started in a previous financial year. We would have gone through all of those processes, and finally it would have been delivered in the fourth quarter of the 2023-2024 financial year. But work would have been done in other quarters. So when we say that 10 or 12 of the 15 targets were met in a specific quarter, it's not, we mustn't just, Chairperson and honourable members, focus on it's the 12 that had happened in that quarter, because more than half of those would have happened in other periods, in other years where work would have been done by the line function. Speaker, if you would maybe just the model and whether it would be, if we review a model, we would like to consider as the administration that reviewing is a process of taking into account our experiences to a date and see where we can then improve on models, policies, other tools that are in place, so that it becomes less cumbersome for us to implement, or it becomes a bit more efficient and effective in terms of cost and what value we get out of those specific processes. There are various matters that have been reviewed over previous financial years and up to now in terms of the third quarter of the current financial year, but it's always with a view of how do we improve and where do we improve and how do we become a bit more effective and efficient? If we, for example, just as an example, look at our cybersecurity strategy. From the 23rd of May 2023 to date, there's been so much work that has happened. Policies have been amended, processes have been amended. We've put other processes in place to try to prevent what happened on the 23rd of May 2023. And there's been much improvement in that environment. And that is how we view the matter of reviewing, especially the oversight and accountability model. The sector has a framework. The expectation is that individual legislatures need to customize it for their specific environment, and that is also what the review process then takes into account, because the world might be different in X as opposed to Y, and therefore you have to customize it. Thank you, Chairperson. I don't know, Chairperson, if Ms. Goldstone would want to add anything with regards to the targets.
You're covered. Thank you very much, Ms. Goldstone. Member Maseko.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I think, and that is why I was asking the question of the performance if it's accumulative, because if you look at the explanation example of what you have just explained now, maybe reporting have to be different when we do the quarterly reports, because a lot of work is in and the cost attached to that lot of work is there. But when you look here, you'll say you have not achieved because you are not done with the project, but doesn't mean you are not done because you are busy with that project. So a certain percentage of that project already you have implemented it, even though it's not totally implemented that it can be. So we have to look at the reporting, because that means what we are seeing on red is not the true version of what is happening behind the scene. And somehow we have to look at that, because the financial reporting is not talking to what you are saying on the red, and it's saying that work is being done. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Maseko. Speaker.
I think it's also important to just note that when we report on Q2 and Q3, it's but for bias.
Yeah.
So as we sit now, the picture is completely different to what we are reporting. So I think also the time of reporting, because now we're doing Q2 and Q3, it could have been that we did Q1, 2, 3 at this point only, and then the picture would have been skewed. So I just think we also just need to take note of that. So I mean, if we are, I mean, I'm comfortable to say that these targets would be met at the end of Q4. But from a perspective of the committee that doesn't see the back end of what's happening, I get what Honourable Maseko is saying. So I don't know if we can look at restructuring the reporting mechanism. But yeah, that's something to look at.
Thank you, Speaker. Meneer die secretaris.
Agbare voorsitter, ek wil nou nie graag na die speaker gesels het hieroor nie. But it's important that we are clear on what we are reporting. There's input reporting, there's output reporting. Well, there's actually activity reporting, output reporting, and then outcome reporting. At this stage, we are not yet at the outcome, but we are at the output. The cybersecurity strategy has been implemented. That's an output. The outcome would be that we are able to prevent any cyber attacks because of the output that has been there, or an increase in the level of public participation, etc., etc. APP don't necessarily, ideally, would not want to report on input. Because that is what we say, that is what we're doing, as opposed to what we are achieving in terms of those areas. But I'll leave it for now, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. And you covered, Member Maseko?
Yeah, I'm covered through your indulgence. I think Secretary, I do understand that. But what I'm saying is that now this is the committee where you have to interact with us, is where we have to know what is happening. And then this is the high level reporting that it's we will want, and then when you listen to member like also, we would want to hear more details of what is happening, because interpretation of what I'm seeing here, that's what I mean, that it's not the reality of what is happening, because of you've got the output that is there, you've got the input that you're talking about that is happening there. But how do we report is what's important. That's why I say maybe we have to look at how do we report, to have the conversation with the committee, because that's the only time that we meet to say your first quarter, what is it that you have done? How far are you with your budget? The second quarter, because this committee is the only one that talks to your finance plus your operations. We don't have any other time that we interact. We can't say you are going to the public accounts. This is the public accounts plus the operations at the same time. So reporting for quarter 1, 2, 3 has to also say that we are 2-in-1. Maybe we have to get the 2-in-1 information of operations and the challenges that you do face, what are the challenges, why you reprioritize, and seeing that is a conversation that we have without being on a high level, so that when we do the annual reports now, we know exactly what were the challenges. We do just the annual reports and then we are done with it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Maseko. Duly noted. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Honourable colleagues, in the absence of any further hands to the presentation, I will now give over to Mr. Jawuddin and Ms. Peterson.
Chair, before.
Member Lecker, do you have another question?
It's just a proposal that I want to make.
Is that something we can deal with during our session at the resolution stage of this meeting?
It's fine, we can do it then.
Thank you very much, Member Lecker. You may proceed.
Chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Chair. So I'll be reporting on the second and third quarter IOM reporting, which is reporting as at the end of September and at the end of December 2023 of the 23-24 financial year. So with regards to our expenditure and reporting as at the end of the second quarter, we had, as at that particular point of time, of our budget of 240,242,000, spent 126,724,000, which is basically as 52.75% spend. And as at the end of the third quarter, we had an adjusted budget of 241,105, which effectively means that we had in adjustments estimate, we had a supplementation of 836,000 into our budget, and we spent 185,636,000 of that budget as at the end of December, which effectively means we spent basically 77% of the budget. Just to touch on that particular point, through Chair, during the adjustments estimate and during what we had identified before adjustment estimate process, that even though we were on track with our expenditure and spend on projects, we did identify that there is a projected savings of within the financial year. And what we had done is, because of the fact that in the 24-25 budget, we had some spending pressures and we were a bit short on the budget for particular projects. So we had early in this year financial year already, we had in the adjustments estimated revoted some of our savings of this financial year into the 24-25 financial year to soften the blow with regards to certain big projects that we saw. So we are short a bit on our budget for the next financial year. And if I can just touch on one or two of them, for example, the chamber AV upgrade and cybersecurity cost. So we had in adjustments estimate shifted or revoted some savings into the outer year or the next financial year. Having said that, I can say that with our spending, we are fairly on track with regard to where we are with regards to spending on our budget. On program one, at the end of the second quarter, we had spent 47.81% of our budget. And as at the end of the third quarter, we spent 72.79% of that budget. Just with regards to certain, like I mentioned, certain projected underspending was mainly due to the fact that we had some vacant posts, and the savings from that is what I mentioned earlier, where we also revoted some of those funds into the outer year, and as well as the projects that we identified will more than likely not take place in the financial year, if I can use the example of the digital online platform. So those funds were specifically within this financial year that we had then revoted. With regards to program two, as at the end of the second quarter, we spent 53% of our budget, and at the end of the third quarter, we spent 74.31. There again, we are fairly on track with, we were fairly on track and are fairly on track with our expenditure. Just to also specifically note that the standing committee's budget was supplemented in the adjustments estimate as well, with additional funding for the additional bills and lawmaking that took place and is taking place in this financial year. And quite a bit of that expenditure is still happening in this fourth quarter, which we're not reporting on currently. For program three, as at the end of the second quarter, we spent 40.65% of our budget. As at the end of the third quarter, we spent 70.68% of our budget. And in this particular program, you can see that particularly in public education and outreach, the reason for the low spend on there is because of the fact, besides the vacant posts, because of the fact of the digital online platform, which did not take place, and that fund was then revoted for further pressures in the outer year, in 24-25 financial year. In program 4, as at the end of the second quarter, we spent just less than 69% of our budget. And as at the end of the fourth quarter, we spent 95% of the budget. The reason for that high percentage in the third quarter is mainly due to the fact that for the political party secretarial and constituency allowances, we pay that in advance. And as at the end of December, all the political party secretarial and constituency allowance advances for the fourth quarter had been paid, so that funds was fully paid out as at the end of the third quarter. Then for the program 5, which is the members' direct charge, the member salaries, that percentage as at the end of the second quarter is 46%, and as at the end of the third quarter is 66%. And the reason for that expenditure being less than what it normally would be is because of the fact that any increase had not been approved as we currently speak. So that is as per the current salary levels. Chair, that's in summary, very briefly, what the expenditure as at the end of the second quarter and third quarter is for the 23-24 financial year.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jawuddin. Honourable members, any questions? I do not see any hands online. Member Maseko? Not at this moment. Member Lekker? Member Lekker, you may proceed,
Chair.
member.
Mine is around the underspending as a result of the vacancies that were not filled. Can I get an update as to whether those vacancies have now been filled? And if not, what are the reasons for those vacancies not to be filled? And when are those vacancies going to be filled? Are there any obstacles, and is there a way of dealing with those if there are? Thank you, Chair.
Does that cover your question, member?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Member Lekker. Mr. Secretary?
Thank you, Chairperson, and again, thank you for the question. Before I allow Mr. Titus and Madam Prakasim to assist with the response for that, maybe just the following. We are in the fourth quarter of the current financial year. The second and the third quarter gives an indication for at the time what the spend was, the underspend and the vacancies. It may not, and maybe I must, maybe I must not use the word may. It is highly likely that when we talk about vacancies resulting in an underspend, we're not talking about one specific vacancy. So you can't say that post A was vacant when this report was given and post A is still vacant, because that post could have been filled. Then afterwards, people would have retired, etc., and that would then have contributed to the fact that the vacancies result in an underspend. So it's not that it's one post that has been vacant for the entire period. That post could have been filled, but other vacancies could have materialized over the specific reporting period. Chairperson, if in order, I'm now going to hand over to Mr. Titus, and then he will then direct whether Ms. Prakasim also needs to respond. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Mr. Titus?
Thank you, Chair. The Secretary is correct, Chairperson. The vacancies are created by people leaving and current posts on the establishment that are actually also vacant. So we have made some progress in some regard. We've had 2 appointments in the fourth quarter. One while the legal advisor was an appointment that we have made, so that process is concluded, and the official had assumed duty. In the people management space, there has been a senior officer that post has been advertised, and the official has also been appointed in that particular space. Other vacancies had come about as well. We've had 2 retirements now already, one at the end of February and another one at the end of December. So those are individuals whose posts are also becoming vacant. So we are talking about a roving target. One of the other things that I want to also say is not all of the posts are readily easy to fill. Some of the positions are very specialized positions. If I'm can just use the example of the cybersecurity officer. This is certainly not somebody that we can just fetch and just plug the person in. We are looking for very, very fine-tuned, specialized, specific skills. And that process, and some of these processes do not necessarily yield the kind of competencies and skills that we require. Now, we cannot, for the sake of just having the post filled, have a person in the position who's not able to perform the function that he or she is supposed to perform. So that has been part of the challenge. We've some of Chair, you would also know that some of the processes are currently underway as we speak. So I don't want to also speak about some of the challenges that we are currently experiencing in the current recruitment process, because some of the within that process, as you would know, that process until it's concluded remains a confidential one, because we will compromise the entire efficacy of the process if I speak about that now. I think that kind of sums up. But what I want to just emphasize again for the benefit of the members is that when it comes to vacancies, it's not necessarily the same post. Other posts become vacant while others are being filled. We're creating a saving in the other end. I think that is the revolving door issue that we are sitting with. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Titus. Member Lecker, are you covered? Any follow-up question?
Just
Nope.
one.
Based on your initial question, member?
Yes.
Please continue.
Thank you, Chair. You see, Chair, my concern around, let me first appreciate the response. My concern on the response given to us is around the issue of preparing ourselves in an event there's a retirement. You see, a retirement, it's something that you've got enough time to plan for. Now, with regards to some positions that are not easy to fill in, there was at some point a resolution that there can be a process of headhunting that can also be undertaken. Now, if I'm getting a response that some of the positions are not easy to be filled, has that process been considered? And how has it turned out to be? Has it been successful? And if not, is there a solution with regards to such positions that would know beforehand that it will require a particular skill? Do we have a provision made in that regard? Especially with the two resignation that is coming, because I foresee that we're going to have the similar problems that we've had to deal with in the entire time. So is there that process available or what?
Thank you very much, Member Lecker. Mr. Titus?
Thank you, Chair. Our recruitment and selection policy makes provision for a range of options of how we must recruit. I think the first and foremost issue is that our recruitment process must be open, it must be fair, and it must be open to everybody. And I think that is the first principle that we want to apply when it comes to the recruitment and selection process. When we have followed such a process, Member Lecker is correct that we have opportunity, once we have tested the availability of skills, to opt then for other ways of how targeted recruitment, headhunting. I think we've done that with some of the other positions already in a previous in a previous round of recruitment. We have and as I'm saying, Chairperson, as I'm saying, two or three of the positions currently in process probably have to look at other alternatives and other opportunities of how to find a more suitable person. But all of these are gleaned from our recruitment and selection policy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Titus. Member Maseko?
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, I think the concern that we have is the turnaround time of the positions. And I mean, if you talk about the advertisements to be fair and open, and also on the same breath, you talk about it's a specific skill that you need. That's where a member like is coming in to say now, headhunt, if you are advertising, you're not getting what you need, surely there need to be a provision for headhunting to get the right person, or to within the organization try to see if you don't have the skill that you can fill in those positions, to make it easy for the positions that maybe it's easy for you to get a person that can be hired somewhere. But the turnaround time, maybe that is a concern. And again, question being, to what an extent does it shortchange the services that are needed that position has to do? But Chair, if I can just continue, because I see member like is not, and then they can respond on that. And then my last question, also it will be, if I can be assisted to find out the website, the cost of the website, which line is it? Is it on the knowledge management, or is the information technology of the website the way is or is it comes from the people's, where is it? Okay, let me not ask about where do I get the cost attached to the website? If you can help me to look, where is it? I will appreciate that. And maybe if you can help us to say to date, or you anticipate how much is it going to cost? And I'm asking this question because I want to ask the speaker if he says we don't have the money for the website for it to be redone, to have a new, versus so far what you have spent. And the speaker maybe can help me. How much was it that he couldn't afford to can have that website to be redesigned versus already what you have spent? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Member Maseko. Mr. Titus.
Chair, thank you very much. I think the question that Member Maseko is asking around response time, turnaround times, etc. I think within that context, we need to also take cognizance of the fact that we are talking about an end-to-end continuum. While people management is responsible for the functional part of it, and the support to a panel. The selection panel actually comprises of the line specialists. So, for instance, if Mr. Skricker is recruiting for a senior officer in his space, which is supposed to add value to the work and to the production in that particular space. He is the one who will drive that particular process just from a functional perspective. That's the person who is the guru, if I can call it that, as far as the functional parts of it is concerned. People management's role is to provide all of the end-to-end administrative support, the advertising, the advisory services, and all of those kinds of things in that particular space. Now, the member Maseko is absolutely correct. We want to have short turnaround times so that we can also have quick response times and quick appointments. That is what we want to do. But within that, we are still working on how to get the value chain from the line right through into the people management space to get that a little faster. And sometimes the current work that the people in the line are performing are also negating against them. Actually, we're talking about a panel of often 5-6 people having to meet in order to finalize processes. And often people are not necessarily in the office, people are in the field. So there are operational things that sometimes result in us not being able to do it as quickly as possible. But it's also something that we need to be working on as an administration.
Thank you very much, Mr. Titus. Ms. Fisher?
Thank you, Madam Chair. With regards to the website, Honourable Maseko, there are two completely separate areas. The one is the reverse billing, where people don't pay or use data when they go to our website. That is currently in our budget. The budget resides with ITDS. And I think we budgeted something like 120,000 for this financial year, which we obviously will not be using that whole amount because we're only starting now, but we will use what we use for the next couple of weeks to determine the budget for next year. But there is an allocation made. If you want, Mr. Jawuddin can give a report after the meeting of exactly what the amount is. Then there is the redesign of the website and the rebuilding of the website on a different platform, not the restrictive Drupal platform that we have now. That project currently also resides with ITDS. They are busy working on the specs and the business cases. And when a budget is allocated, that budget would also reside with ITDS. Nekobi. Yeah. Thank you, Secretary. I don't know whether you want to add on that.
Thank you very much. Any additions, Speaker?
Yeah, I'm covered by what Ms. Fisher is saying, but I think it's very important for us to also understand, and I don't want to anticipate my budget speech and the tabling of the budget because, yeah, we're going to get to that stage. The reality is that Parliament, like all other government departments in this province, had to take serious budgetary cuts in this budgetary process. You will see it when we table the budget. So our concern is for our constitutional mandates to be achieved. I want to make an example. For example, when we speak about public engagement and public hearings, and we speak about the safety and security that is linked to that event or events, that responsibility is now solely the WCPP's responsibility, which previously it was provided by the South African Police Services. So all additional resources will have to be redirected into things like that. Because we have an obligation constitutionally to fulfill certain functions, and everything outside of that becomes a luxury in inverted commas and nice to have. So until we have the adequate budget in all aspects, the constitutional responsibilities of this institution will remain the priority. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Speaker. Covered Member Maseko? Thank you so much. Colleagues, are there any other questions? Member Lecker?
Thank you, Chair. You said, Chair, just on the input by the secretary, by the Speaker. I think my suspicions are confirmed. I've asked for the detail of the targets and it was not forthcoming. The Speaker has just mentioned that the service that was rendered by the South African Police Service will now be rendered by WCPP. And that's exactly where my concern is. That we speak of targets, but we don't speak of the detail. And as such, this is the committee that was supposed to be getting a detail as to what exactly is happening. You must remember, we've been sitting here and I've heard nothing. The responses that were given were responses that are very liberal and not in detail. I don't want to say they were not truthful, but they were not in detail. And the last statement made by the Speaker says there's one detail. Probably there's 10 or 15 more details that could have been given to us as members of this legislature. I'm not sure what type of oversight then are we supposed to be doing when we're not getting information, but rather get the back of the head. And my question also says then, therefore, to what extent is WCPP ensuring that it is transparent to its members so that its members, as the representatives of the people of the Western Cape, are better equipped to respond on issues, not only to our electorate, but also to our caucuses where we are deployed. We must be able to say, this is what WCPP is doing. So I think, Chair, what becomes more crucial is what exactly can we take home? What can we take home out of this meeting? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member Lecker. Speaker.
Chair, I think I need to just for the record state, there's no ways that WCPP can perform the functions of SAPS. What I have said is that we will be responsible for the cost linked to the constitutional mandate of this institution, i.e. public engagement and outreach. So we in the past, the South African Police Services, through their budget, through the police budget, paid for those services. We will now have to pay for it. I also said I don't want to get into the detail because I don't want to preempt the budget speech. So I think it would be remiss of me not to correct that perception. But also, Chair, I think for the last year, on every request from this committee, on briefings on various programs, the administration provided the information and came to the committee to present. What we're dealing with today is the culmination of all those meetings that occurred during Q2 and Q3. So the intention for today, according to my understanding, is merely to pull together the last 2 quarters of briefings that has already happened with the committee. So if there's any additional information, then please do let us know, and we'll make sure that you have the information.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Honourable members, I do not see any further hands, and thank you for that clarity provided, Speaker. That then deals with the presentations today. I think members have exhausted their questions. There's always opportunity during the recommendation and resolution phase of this meeting, should members inquire any further information. Speaker, at this stage, may I ask if any instructions was issued in terms of section 37.6 and section 66.2 of FAMPLA?
Thank you, Chair. I think according to FAMPLA, the Secretary needs to answer that. So just for the record.
Thank you very much, Speaker. You're so close that I tend to. Thank you.
Chairperson and honourable members, for the period, reporting period under review, there were no instructions issued in terms of section 37.6 and section 66.2 of the Financial Management of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Then that is duly noted and recorded as well. Honourable members, that brings us to the end of the session with the Speaker and the officials. Thank you so much for your indulgence at today's meeting. Thank you so much, and you may be excused. Is there anything at the back for them? I believe there is some water and fruit at the back. Goed gaan. Ek is sien môre. Ja. Just a report now, né?
It's Monday morning.
What happens Monday morning?
Appropriation. Rental ones.
We see each other then, né?
Yeah, rental money in the chamber.
On a Monday. Thank you very much, Mr. Skricker and Ms. Goldstein. Unless you want to remain. Let's do this or the resolutions first.
Can deal with this.
Okay. Colleagues, the only two outstanding matters is that of the adoption of the committee report and if any resolutions at this stage. The committee report then reads as follows, that the report of the Parliamentary Oversight Committee, having considered the quarterly financial and performance information for the second and third quarters of the Western Cape Provincial Parliament for the 2023-2024 financial year, report as follows, that the Parliamentary Oversight Committee reports that it convened on the 6th of March 2024 and has concluded in its deliberations on the quarterly financial and performance information for the second and third quarters of the 2023-24 financial year for WCPP, which was referred to it in terms of Standing Rule 89.1 of the WCPP. The committee interrogated the WCPP in terms of the information that was tabled and referred to the committee as legislated under Section 17(2)(a) of the Financial Management of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act 2009, FAMPLA, in accordance with Section 37(6) and 66(2) of the FAMPLA. The WCPP reported to the committee that no instructions were issued during the second and third quarters of the 2023-24 financial year for WCPP. The committee considered and adopted this report at its meeting on the 6th of March 2024. Honourable members, Member Maseko.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I move that we adopt the report.
Adopt the report. Thank you, Member Maseko. Can I have a seconder, Member Lecker? Is that a secondment, Member Lecker?
Thank you, Chair. Is this the point where I'm supposed to elect the minority view first before I speak?
No, that is on Monday, Member Lecker, from 9 to 1.
Okay. I second the adoption of the report.
Thank you very much, Member Lecker. Apology accepted. A lot is going on. Thank you very much. That deals with the committee report. Honourable members, any resolutions or recommendations from your side?
Yes.
Please proceed, Member Lecker.
Thank you, Chair. My recommendation would be that we get a brief or briefing notes around the targets, which entails the details. What are these targets? Because as you heard that I was definitely not okay with the targets that being
Member
told.
Lecker, can you please just clarify which targets you are referring to?
I'm referring to the 8 targets that were not achieved, to the one of 8 targets. Let me go back on my notes, Chair.
Okay. No, I think it's fine as long as you've made reference to which targets. You may proceed,
problem.
Member.
I'm just looking at my notes, Chair. I'll be with you just now.
Chairperson, while Member Lecker refreshes her memory, may I propose a different resolution?
Please go ahead, Member.
Chair, is it possible for this committee to get a briefing on the access control arrangements for the 7th Parliament, specifically around members accessing the building through the parking lot, and whether we can get an update on that, Chairperson?
Thank you very much, Member Bosman. Duly noted and recorded. Member Lekker, are you ready to go?
Yes, Chair. Yes,
Yes,
yes.
you may, member.
One would be the detail of the targets that are said to be part of the reprioritization. What are those targets? Two would be around the detail on the project where they spoke of the strat plan, that it would be its own determination. The third one, Chair, would be the details in the, I think that was quarter three. Just going through to my quarter three notes. In quarter three, Chair, there were those targets that were said to have been misplaced. And because they were misplaced, they were considered as part of, I think it also a reprioritization. What were those targets that were said to have been misplaced, which at the end of the day, they were not met? If you're looking properly, would be around public engagements. Yeah, yes, public engagement. Quarter three, they were about 50% in terms of their achievement. What were those targets? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Let me just confirm with Mr. Davids if he's got that all recorded.
Yes, Chairperson, through you, I've got everything recorded, Chair.
Thank you so much. Honourable members, that then deals with our business. Today, thank you so much for your participation and indulgence. Have a most wonderful and blessed week ahead. And please be reminded, members, we see each other on Monday from 9 o'clock for the appropriations. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chairperson. See you tomorrow.
So